Got a drum loop you love but hate the sounds? Want the kick, snare, and hat on separate tracks with no stems? I'll show you how to do that in a few clicks. In this video, I'm going to take one stereo drum loop, run it through Fader's drum separation, and turn it into three things: clean kick track, custom snare and hat groove, and a brand new beat built on the same feel. Just got this splice loop here, so I'm just going to drag it into an audio track, and let's take a listen to that. There, we've got that into Ableton. And so even though Ableton recently released their stem separation feature, which is pretty cool, Fader can go a step further and separate the different drum elements. So let's get that extra control. All right, let's go to fader.com, go into stems, and let's add in that drum loop. Cool, so we just take this loop, bring it in, and it's stemming. And it's gonna be stemming automatically at that free level, which separates out drums, bass, vocals, and other, but that's pretty common. But what takes us to the next level is with Fader Plus, you can hop in here and then separate the drums, right? You see that? Separate kick, snare, and other drums. Let's do that. Excellent. So that'll happen in pretty quick, kind of like less than a minute. And Ableton, the stems that they do, they are pretty high quality, but I did one 4-minute song and that took 30 minutes, which is pretty wild. But this individual stem separation of the kick, of the snare, of the lead and background vocals, this is something you can't do in Ableton, but you can do in Fader. Very powerful multi-instrument separator, which is so cool. Look at this. We got, so here we got the snares separate from the kick and separate from the hat. So you can go ahead and download the stems, and we'll just do snare, kick, and other. You can download those stems, put it into a specific folder, we can find it. And so let's add those in. Very cool. And so now we got this kick separate, the snare, and the other, which is the hi-hats mainly here. Excellent. Yeah, so one quick thing we can do, and let's just take one of these kicks that we like, and you'll hear, you know, it's not perfect. There's gonna be some weird artifacts here and there, so you gotta pick a kick you like. They're not all created equally. But yeah, I'll go with the first one, and I'm just gonna consolidate that so it makes it into its own separate file. And then I can take that and drag it into this drum rack. And then, you know, I could do the same thing. Got a number of different elements in there. That's the nice way I could do it. I got the kick in there, kick, the snare, and the hi-hats. And I got my own interesting drum kit built from what was previously just like a full drum loop. All right, so now I've added different elements here into this drum rack, all that we got from the Fader stem separation. So we got a kick, hat, and snare. And now we can kind of play our own drum beat from these separated beats that kind of just came from this drum loop, which otherwise by itself just sounded like this. And now we use that in our completely own way. Instead of just taking that sample and breaking up that sample of different things, we can kind of play it in all kinds of different ways, right? So one way is just playing it in, like right here. Over here I have a MIDI controller with things mapped out to where those different parts are. So that's one way to go about playing this in. And then you can kind of take that all kinds of different directions now. So even if I added on like a arpeggiator, when people hear the word arpeggiator, they often think it has to have that up and down motion. But not always the case, right? Like here in Ableton, we're just gonna take this note repeat. Instead of just going up, we're gonna set it to chord trigger. So any note you hold down, it'll just play that again. We have the rate down at the bottom here set to 1/8 notes. We could bring that up to 16ths. And with that style of recording, that'd be nearly impossible to get that different control just within the direct audio sample. So boom, just like that, we went from a stereo drum file into separate kick, snare, hats, and other percussion. And now you've actually got control. Just decide why you're separating before you do it. Practice, replace the sounds, or start a new beat. Link to Faders down below, and I'll leave another video on screen if you want to keep going.